I'm Doris Hedler. I'm a board member of Focus and have been for 30 years. I was around at the beginning of the incipient thoughts about Focus. And what happened is the churches along Collingwood and Ashland, when the ministers got together, they found that and thought, perhaps if all these people who came to the church door for food and help were centralized so that we weren't duplicating services, that we might be able to serve them better and and our outreach would be a little further because we wouldn't be duplicating services. And then they also began, as they met together, decided maybe we just don't want to give them handouts. We want to give them hope and a thought of the future. And so they banded together and formulated and established Focus. The Cherry Street Mission was established at that time, but there were not all the soup kitchens that we have nowadays. We didn't have any place where this concept of helping people think long-term that they had to change their lives in order to change the way they were living so that they could have a goal of moving forward in their lives. At that time, we thought, let's establish some ways of educating these people. So we had an education component. We had a component where we would work with people and help them find the clothing appropriate and the knowledge to be interviewed properly for a good job, that sort of thing. So those work things were established. We also had a place where we could give them food as they needed. That was where it started because the people were coming to churches for food because there was no other place to go. And then the minister that we had at Ashland told us about a program in Minneapolis which worked with obtaining housing and putting people into housing which would help them move ahead a little bit, because if you have a permanent place to stay, then you can start to think in terms of, well, maybe I can do a little better than this. Maybe how do I keep this permanent housing? So then because this concept came from Minneapolis, they visited there and found out how their program worked. And that was the parameters on which Focus started the caseworker concept, where we would work with people on a longer term. And the caseworkers would work with the people to establish the concept of a contract. If the people were going to be part of Focus, they would contract with us as our clients, that they would adhere to trying to move themselves forward. They were given diagnoses of, and parameters were set between the caseworker and the client as to how, if they needed help in mental health, they would try to get that. If they needed help, they would were diagnosed or interviewed as to where their educational goals were. And if they needed a GED, we would help them find ways to, the caseworkers would help them find programs that would do that. If they needed to move forward in vocational training, those links were established. All these were with the idea that that we weren't just giving them a handout, but rather we were teaching them, as they say in the story, how to fish so it would impact the rest of their lives rather than just a, a short-term solution. I feel that being part of Focus, we get more bang for our buck because it not only teaches people, it does not only helps a person right immediately to their needs, but gives them the training and the outlook, and they can see that there is a path available to them, that they're not alone, that somebody is here to help. And I think that component of Focus is so unique that this is why I stay with Focus, because I think we get more bang for our buck that way. People that we touch reach out not only to their family, but they have this concept that we need to serve the broader community, so it changes the community as a whole. That we're just we're the pebble that starts the ripple, that reaches forward and goes on and on. Just like a smile. If you smile at somebody as you go to work, that smile ripples on and changes a lot of people. That same kind of smile that Focus gives ripples forward in such a way that the whole pond and eventually maybe the whole world is affected by the lives that we have changed.